everybody, I'm Chandler.
I'm Celeste.
And this is True North Terror.
Okay, so this is part 2
Gross.
of the Richardson family murders. Just a quick recap. Jeremy and Jane. Jeremy is 23, Jane is 12.
Gross.
Yes, they met in a parking lot when Jeremy was doing donuts.
Ugh.
And Jane has started to rebel against her family's wishes. And
Started.
she has actively been rebelling against her family.
There we go.
She went from a straight A student to barely passing. She is dressing inappropriately for her age and lying about her age online.
Ugh.
And she currently is grounded, doesn't have access to any computers or phones. And her last message to Jeremy from the library computer was, I have a plan. It starts with us killing them and me moving in with you. So, things are going to get very unfortunate. A trigger warning again that this does involve the murder of a child. And the details that I do give are very gruesome. So, buckle up.
Oh boy.
So a few days later, Jeremy uploaded a new poem to his social media accounts of one of the lines speaking about slitting Jane's family's throats.
Oh.
Jane tried to sneak out to meet Jeremy but was caught by her parents. About a week later, she had a successful escape and ran down the road to Jeremy waiting for her in his mom's truck. They drove back to his mom's trailer.
Truck.
They drove back to his mom's trailer and had sex for the first time.
Ew.
Again, Jeremy is 23 and Jane is 12. Also, again, Jane is not her real name. At the time, the consenting age was 14.
What?
Meh.
Really? Oh, I guess with but wasn't there like a certain age range for that? I don't know. Anyways, still, what the fuck?
Yeah. She said that she thought having sex would bring them closer together and make him happy because she knew he wanted to have sex with her. During this time, a 17-year-old homeless kid named Jordan was crushing on the couch at Jeremy's. Him and Jeremy decided to start a heavy metal band together. Jordan was a bass guitar player and Jeremy was going to be the singer. He started on writing lyrics for their new band. He posted some of the lyrics to one of his new songs on his Nextopia account. And one said, I will give you everything I got. I will kill you. I will spill blood for you tonight.
That's just bad songwriting.
I can just hear it as
poor.
Like, I will give you everything that... You know?
That's how he sounds.
Like I hear so metal in my head and then I hear like, I will spill blood for you tonight. And I'm like, what?
That's rough.
One night when Jeremy was already on the phone, Jordan picked up the phone to make a call, unaware that it was already in use. She heard a female voice on the other end asking, well, will you kill them? Jeremy replied that he would have to think about it. It is a big life decision.
Yeah.
Jordan didn't think much of this conversation and said he was already buzzed but not drunk. He said Jeremy was always complaining at Jasmine's parents but never took his threats seriously. Because he did say that, but he did notice Jeremy's behavior changing. Jordan was a bit spooked by Jeremy's odd behavior and decided it was time to find a new couch to crash on.
Attaboy.
Good life choice, Jordan. About a week later, Jeremy asked another friend, Grant, for help killing Jasmine's parents.
Yikes.
So, like, this guy is just, he's, like, not even hiding.
Don't eat the cords, Wivey.
He's not even hiding that he has these plans, and he's just, like, asking all his friends for help. What on earth is going on,
Wivey? What do you do? Hey, get down from the...
The cords are not for you to play with.
Yeah.
He's like, but they're so fun for me. I like to be electrocuted.
Don't do that. Come here.
That Friday, on April 21st, the warm spring weather was finally starting to hit Alberta, and the Richardson family went on a motorcycle ride. This was something they did regularly as a family. Each parent had a bike, and they would take one of the kids on the back, which is like,
That sounds rad as hell.
these parents just seem so cool.
Yeah,
Like, it
that's
seems like
cool as
they're just
hell.
trying really hard and they've worked so hard. Each parent, or sorry, at this point, it had been 8 months since Jane started to hang out with the older, influential kids at the park. A month since her and Jeremy were busted for making out in the back alley. The Richardson family was under immense tension, but everyone seemed happy to spend time together going for a cruise. Mark and Deborah remained optimistic that things were going to turn around. Mark had just bought a new truck and was considering starting his own business, and Deborah had just opened up her own Reiki practice after years of being a full time stay at home mom. She was near completing a business program and was hoping to make her Reiki business something big. Little Jacob had a playdate planned for later that afternoon. However, Jane had other plans and they were not in her family's favor. Which is like, it feels like they finally like got settled and were
Yeah,
doing everything that they had dreamed of. It's just so sad.
they were just trying their best.
They're just trying to have a good life. Saturday, April 22nd, 2006 came. Jeremy called his previous roommate Jordan asking if he could help scare the Richardson family. When Jordan asked what he meant by scare, Jeremy's like, well, we're going to kill them.
That's not scaring.
Yeah, that's not quite, I think,
That's
what Jordan thought.
cheating.
Jeremy and some friends went to check out a punk rock concert and decided to keep the party going by returning to Jeremy's trailer afterwards. And of course, he's like, you know what is super fun to do at parties? Watch Natural Born Killers. So they watched Natural Born Killers. Everyone drank alcohol, smoked weed, just vibing, watching the greatest love story of all time. While his friends were at his place, he went out to find Jordan to ask if he was going to help him or not. Like, bro, leave Jordan alone.
And Jordan, call the cops.
Yeah, but like,
What the fuck is wrong with you?
for real, take a hint. Sorry, I need to put my mic up a bit.
You're good.
I don't think it would.
Oh man.
Jordan still wasn't sure if Jeremy was serious, but still declined. He didn't want any trouble, especially did not want to be involved in a full on murder plot.
Yeah.
Jeremy was angry. His friend wouldn't help him and slammed the door as he stormed away. He's like, you don't want to let me kill anyone? Fine. And then stomped his little feet and had a temper tantrum.
I feel like he wore small shoes.
He returned back to his mom's place and pressed play on Natural Born Killers again, watching it a second time. His friends are probably like, for fuck's sakes.
Like, dude, this movie's not that good.
Like, there are so many movies we could be watching.
Why?
Jeremy decided to try to rope in Jordan just one more time. Just one more time. He's like, I'm going to give it one last go and gave him a call. When Jordan declined again, Jeremy screamed at him on the phone, calling him a pussy and a chicken and threatening him. Jordan started to fear for his own life. And like, Jeremy went back to the party. He's like, someone's being a little pussy. Someone doesn't want to help me. He's chickening out. He's not brave. And it's like, nah, Jordan just has a conscience.
Yeah.
At about 2 a.m. on Sunday morning, all the teenagers headed home from Jeremy's trailer except for one 17-year-old named Mike. He had to grab the rest of his stuff from Jeremy's room, but when he tried, he noticed the door was locked. He heard Jeremy on the phone through the door asking, are you sure you want to do this? Jeremy walked out of the bedroom and left in his mom's truck, heading to a local cocaine dealer's home. Jeremy was counting on a friend to help him pull off the crime, but when he realized he was on his own, he turned to coke for courage. I'm like, what is that? Powder courage? Because it's not liquid courage.
What the fuck?
Yeah. So he indulged in some wine, vodka, ecstasy, everything that his dealer could offer, and then left with some cocaine for the road. He's like, I'll take that into to-go container, please.
Why couldn't he have just like OD'd? Fuck.
Yeah. Wouldn't that have been nice? He started up his truck, stored his last line of cocaine, and headed for the Richardson home. Mike was still asleep on the couch at 5:30 in the morning when Jeremy returned back home. Mike said Jeremy was breathing heavily and immediately went to take a shower. Shortly after, He heard another car pull up, a taxi dropping off Jane. Jane entered the home with tangled hair, carrying a pair of black Converse shoes. Jeremy quickly stuffed some clothing into a plastic shopping bag and hurried out the door, hopping into the truck and quickly leaving. They headed back to the cocaine dealer's place. The dealer, Charlie, immediately noticed that Jeremy was roughed up with a very swollen black eye that was oozing blood and an injured left arm.
Jesus.
Jeremy and Jane went into a bedroom and disappeared for several hours. Also, like, what is this place?
Yeah.
Why are we able to disappear into a room for hours at a
Huh?
dealer's home?
Get out.
Like, what is going on here?
What?
Just after lunchtime, after Jacob's friend alerted his mom to the grim discovery, the police entered the Richardson home. They heard a dog barking and followed the sound where they found a small dog whimpering and barking beside a deceased Deborah. Nearby was Mark. They found little Jacob in his bedroom. The gruesome details of the final moments of the Richardson family would soon be uncovered. At the same time that her family's bodies were discovered, Jane and Jeremy emerged from the cocaine dealer's bedroom and decided to go to another party. Jeremy wore dark sunglasses, trying to conceal his swollen black eye. Several other teenagers showed up to the home, including Mike, the 17-year-old that was crashing on Jeremy's couch. Mike's mother lived in Leda, Saskatchewan. Leda, I don't know, and was looking for a ride home. Another boy there was James, a longtime friend of Jeremy's. At one point, Jeremy called him over and quietly bragged that him and Jasmine had just killed their entire family, saying that they had gutted them like a fish. Why are you telling people this?
Why?
Why are you telling people this?
Why are you telling people this, and why are they not telling other people? Why are they not telling the authorities?
So many good questions.
What?
Jane boasted that when they slit little Jacob's throat, he made a gurgling noise as he died.
Fuck you, kid. Oh no.
That's so gross.
Oh no.
To just go to a party and start talking about that, like, if I was there, I'd be like, okay, Jane,
Oof.
I'm just going for a walk. I swear I'm not calling the police.
Yeah.
Other party goers later reported that Jeremy and Jane seemed really happy. They were kissing and giggling and cuddling on the couch, just like having the best day ever. Another party goer named Casey reportedly had a crush on Jeremy and was willing to do anything to impress him. He was like, you know what would really impress me, Casey? To go and clean my mom's truck because I really wanted to be super clean when I returned it to her. So her and another girl, Heather, who was 15 years old, took the truck to a secluded area and cleaned the stained seats and wiped down the interior with wipes. Casey assumed the bloodstains were due to the bloody black eye that Jeremy had, and she's like, I was too high off of weed to even know what was going on or take note of anything strange.
You guys suck. You guys suck so hard.
Like, I feel like even when I'm high off of weed, I still am like, oh, like that was weird.
Yeah.
If anything else, it makes everything more weird.
Yeah.
Like,
Paranoid.
by the evening, the news was broadcasting and pleading for the public's help to find a 12-year-old missing Jane, but did not mention the rest of her family being murdered. So, like, at this point, she's assumed to be missing. Like, because they go into the home, they see photos of the family, they find the parents and Jacob, and they're like, well, wait a minute. There's another kid in these pictures. Where is this other kid? So they are like, oh, okay, she's probably a victim of the crime. She's probably been abducted. So right now they're like, we have a missing child and her whole family has been murdered. Some of the kids at the party saw the news, but they just assumed she had run away. No one was going to rat her out because a lot of them were runaways themselves. So Casey decided that she was going to drive Mike to Leda to see his mom. And Heather was like, yeah, let's do it. And another unnamed teenager joined. Jeremy and Jane also decided to tag along, but insisted they would lay in the back of the truck under the truck tunnel until they got out of Medicine Hat. But no one thought this was strange because they assumed Jane was on the run. So they're like, yeah, sure, you guys can just cuddle in the tunnel.
Stay over the tunnel cover. What the fuck?
It was only about
What?
It was only about a 2-hour drive, so um,
2 hours in a fucking tonneau cover.
in April. Like, that would be so cold.
Oh, the fuck.
After they had left James' house, or sorry, after they had left, James decided to call the police and report that Jane was on her way to Leda and described the Mazda truck that she was in with Jeremy and the other teenagers. He also reported that Jeremy and Jane were boasting about killing her family. So they're like, oh shit.
Well, at least
And
you did the
then
right thing, James.
Jordan, the previous couch surfer at Jeremy's, also called the police and informed the police about the recent alarming behavior that Jeremy displayed, and also mentioned the phone call that he had overheard between Jane and Jeremy when she asked him to kill her family, and how Jeremy asked him several times to try to help kill them. And at this point, the police are realizing, oh shit, like this girl might be the suspect, not a victim. So they're becoming more desperate to find them. The Medicine Hat police called the Saskatchewan police to alert them to the situation and to be on the lookout for the Mazda truck. The police also went to Jane's school and spoke to the guidance counselor, and the police couldn't go through the locker because they would need a
A
warrant.
warrant.
But the guidance counselor actually was allowed to go through the locker.
Okay.
So she offered to go through the locker and see if there was anything relevant to the case or helpful. And indeed, there was. So inside the locker, she found a 12-panel cartoon drawn by Jane, and it was showing three people burning alive while two watched laughing. It also showed someone putting gasoline into a sprinkler.
What?
There was also a truck labeled Jeremy's truck.
Oh
Like,
my god.
you are not good at murder. You are
Oh my
not good at
god.
murder. You are very bad at crime.
There was also a DVD of Natural Born Killers.
Yeah. And they told all their friends. The police were very suspicious now that
Oh my
Jane was the
god.
perpetrator and not the victim of the crime. Meanwhile, the crime scene was being investigated. Blood evidence was huge in making this case. Blood expert Sergeant LaRoque identified over 100 projected stains on carpet outside of Jacob's room, indicating that he was actually first attacked in the hallway. He found over 75 bloodstains within the room, including a transfer stain at the end of the bed, indicating that he was trying to get away after being attacked. But the most heartbreaking detail was that it appeared he had grabbed his lightsaber to try to defend himself, which,
Oh.
like, just got me. Because this poor kid, like, he's 8. He still is very imaginative. And in his
Oh.
head, he's probably like, I can use this. Like, I can use this to defend myself.
This will help.
But it's just literal plastic.
Plastic.
And he's against
Oh.
a 23-year-old man.
Oh.
They also found a blood smear on Jane's light switch, which made them think that Jane was involved, because typically a random attacker isn't going to go like around the house turning on and off lights. Like, they're not going to be like they don't want to attract attention.
Yeah.
So at only 12 and a half years old, they were suspecting Jane to be the youngest murder suspect in Canadian history. The next morning, on Monday, Constable Aaron Ewert was working his very first shift
Oh
ever
god.
as an RCMP in Leda. He was surveilling the gas stations, assuming that the truck would need to get gas along the way, and noticed a truck matching the description of Casey's. He saw 3 young girls exit the truck, one of them not wearing shoes, and decided to call for backup. He followed them to a nearby parking lot at a school when they were then surrounded by police with guns drawn. They found Jeremy and Jane hidden in the back of the truck under the truck tunnel. Jane was not wearing pants.
Ew.
Jeremy was put into handcuffs as he yelled at his friends to tell his mom that she could have his TV and he loved her. Tell my mom she can have my TV and I love her.
What the fuck?
Like, do you know what is happening right now? All the others were arrested too. Casey, Jane, Kaylee, which was the other 15-year-old, and Heather all yelled at the police officers, taunting them and laughing, claiming they were all just going on a camping trip.
With your pants off?
Yeah, with my friends in the truck tunnel, we're just going on a camping trip.
That's not okay.
When the police searched the car, they did not find any camping gear.
course not.
and noticed they likely just spent a very cold and uncomfortable night sleeping in a school parking lot in the truck. They found Jeremy's plastic clothing bag containing some black clothing, oh, sorry, which they later tested for forensics and obviously found Mark and Deborah's blood on.
Of course.
They also found Deborah's ID, which, like, why did you take that, you
You
stupid idiot?
fucking piece of shit.
Bad at crime. They also found a newspaper with the murders on the front page. Jane and the three girls were put into one car, and Jeremy was put into another. And the girls at first were just discussing being worried that Jeremy was going to be charged with rape since Jane didn't have her pants on, and the police wouldn't allow her to put her pants back on. So the girls were like, just say the police raped you. That's why your pants are off. But like the police are sitting in the car and they're like,
What a bunch of fucking idiots.
girls, calm down.
Settle down.
So Jeremy was taken to the police station, and in the process, he had a temper tantrum. He kicked out the plexiglass divider in the car and was screaming the entire time at the police, just like off his rocker. They were taken to the police station for processing, where they find minor scrapes on Jane's hands, upper arm, and lower leg. Both of their injuries were photographed for evidence. They obviously took pictures of Jeremy's disgusting face, and they were both
Ugh.
charged with 3 counts of first-degree murder. The police now enforced a publication ban for Jane's identity. However, they had already blasted it all over the news, assuming
Yeah.
she was a missing child, not the suspect of the crime.
Oh no.
So they're like, okay, actually, no, we can't talk about it anymore. We can't, no, we can't say her name. And yeah.
She who shall not be named
Mhm.
killed her parents.
They put Jane into a holding cell while her friends sat in the station, just like they literally were stealing random objects from the desks. They're like a notepad here, a pen here, and they were just like making unauthorized calls.
What?
It's like, what is going on? Like, what is going on? Jeremy was also put into a holding cell. Meanwhile, forensic pathologist Dr. Craig Litwin performed the autopsies of Mark, Deborah, and Jacob. It took him approximately 2 hours to conduct each exam. And this is where it gets very brutal. If you do not want to hear the gruesome details, skip ahead a couple minutes. Don't say I did not warn you. There was barely any blood left in their bodies due to the brutality of the crimes. They had effectively bled out while waiting to be discovered. So first was Jacob. He discovered a large wound to Jacob's throat that severed his thyroid gland, jugular, and larynx.
Oh.
He also had 2 stab wounds to his face and his chest. There were also signs of strangulation, but due to the severe neck injury, he wasn't able to 100% determine if he was also, in fact, strangled. But he made that assumption just due to other damage, like to his larynx. Mark had 24 stab wounds
24.
to his abdomen, lower right back, where the knife actually punctured his lung, leading him to bleed into his chest cavity. There was no fatal wound for him. He just slowly bled to death.
That's terrible.
Deborah's fatal wound was to her aorta, but she suffered 12 stab wounds, including to her stomach and lungs. They both had significant defensive wounds to their arms and hands. So basically, no one in this family went quickly. They
No.
all suffered very deeply before passing in just
Ugh.
like the most horrific ways. Like, you're in your home, you should be safe. Jeremy had no protection from the media, and they immediately dug into his personal life, looking for anyone who was willing to share what they knew about him. Media started to speculate that Jeremy had fetal alcohol syndrome disorder based on the knowledge that his mother had alcohol abuse issues. They learned that he dropped out of high school in grade 10 after his mom was diagnosed with terminal lung disease. The pressure at the time was on him more than ever to try to provide for his family, but he was completely unmotivated and could never hold a job. An anonymous girl came forward saying she dated Jeremy when she was 17 and he was 20, and she had
Still
actually
gross.
had their child who
What?
had never yet met. She said dating him was one of the biggest mistakes of her life, and she noticed that he started dating younger and younger girls after their relationship and sympathized with Jane. The year leading up to the murders was a rather tough one for Jeremy and his family. His mother had been charged with stabbing her boyfriend and was sentenced to 12 months of probation, which she repeatedly breached. Jeremy's mother said she was always protective of him because he was bullied mercilessly by his classmates and even sometimes the teachers. She said he was a hyperactive kid that struggled to fit in with school and his peers. He eventually was prescribed medication for ADHD and depression, but mixed them with alcohol and cannabis regularly. Still, he struggled. He would self harm and even told his mom that he wanted to kill himself and did have one attempt at suicide. The summer leading up to the murders, he had just joined the goth community where he finally found the acceptance after years and years of continuous bullying. However, other members of the goth subculture said that Jeremy wasn't really following the norms of the community. They didn't really accept him. Some of his friends from the goth group said that he claimed he was a werewolf and at one point saw him cut open his hand to lick the wound.
Ah!
He bragged that he loved the taste of blood and would rip people apart during full moons.
Sure, buddy. Sure.
The reality was, he was a 23-year-old man cosplaying and getting ideas from TV and juvenile fantasy books, and he was lost and misguided, looking for acceptance and identity. Most of his friends described him as weird but also sweet and eager to help. The younger kids in the group even looked up to him. When the media
Ugh.
found out the details of him claiming to be a werewolf and loving the taste of blood, it made this shocking and gruesome story even juicier. Despite all of the negative media attention, his friends still rallied behind him, showing unwavering support like freaky groupies. Like,
Ugh.
gross.
Was Twilight out yet?
2006? No, I don't think so.
The books were.
Yeah,
Do you think this kid read
he read too much
Twilight?
Twilight.
It's like, I'm gonna be like Jacob.
Supporters hung posters of him
Yuck.
throughout schools and showed up to punk rock concerts with his football number painted on their faces.
What?
Others wrote comments online saying nothing would be the same without him and they missed him. However, the real goths who did not consider it just an aesthetic look but more of a lifestyle were outraged by the negative attention. The people who actually lived by the lifestyle were passive and accepting. They claimed they would never kill another person, definitely not their own family members. Repeatedly called Jeremy a pedophile,
Yeah,
which, yes, he
because
was.
he was.
The police had gathered enough evidence to charge both Jeremy and Jane with 3 counts of first degree murder, but they, of course, wanted a confession. They wanted all the details and a confession that would be admissible for court. So Jane was taken into an interrogation room. Since she was only 12, they had additional protections under the Youth Criminal Justice Act. So the police officers had to be very careful of how they interviewed her. They had to make sure to clearly explain her rights, including her rights to speak to a lawyer or an adult, and repeatedly asked if she understood. They had a special form that needed to be filled out each time that they spoke to her. And I guess the form has like 15 steps that they refer to depending on the answers that she gives them.
Well, holy shit.
So it is very intense. Jane asked to have a lawyer and to speak to an adult. She requested either her school guidance counselor or one of her friends from the mall, but she didn't know their real name.
Can I have trench coat, please?
Yeah, I think that's who it was.
Who?
So the police stalled at her request, promising they would make that happen, but wanted her to continue talking. So this is already very sketchy on the police part.
Yeah.
They asked how she got into heavy music while they waited. She said that when she moved 2 years ago, she said she felt like she needed to fit in because she had no friends and she just wanted to be her own person. She said she was always unhappy at home, despite her parents never hurting her. She said she had been considering death for about 2 months. To get her to talk, they told her that if she was to be found guilty at trial, she would receive an adult sentence of life in prison, but that was not true. In order for a youth to be charged as an adult, they have to be over 14 years of age, and the Crown needs to apply for it. So there's like a special process. She asked again for a lawyer when they When they what did I write? Oh,
Uh,
when they walked away for them to call the
mhm.
lawyer, she's like, "No, never mind. I just want to give my statement."
Oh,
So they took her back to the interrogation room and took her official statement. However, there would later be issues with this statement because the lead investigator was acting inappropriately, calling Jane honey and commenting on how pretty she was, holding her hand and stroking her hair, trying to coax more information out of her.
uh,
So she slowly shared her version of the events. She said she was partying with Jeremy at the drug dealer's place that night, and around 4 a.m., he drove her home so she could grab a few things, but he remained in the car. She claimed that when she walked into the home, her family was already dead.
no.
She said she was immediately very upset and felt sick to her stomach and turned numb, and her reaction was just flight, just get out of there. She knew that Jeremy was somehow responsible, but she didn't hate him for it because he did it out of love. Of course, police did not believe her story. It did not really make any logical sense. So they told her that they knew about her comment that Jacob had gurgled and pleaded for his life, and asked how would she know that if she wasn't there when it happened. She felt the pressure to tell the truth, and she was like, okay, JK, different story.
Yikes.
She's like, JK, different story, this one's for real. So she said that her and Jeremy entered the house together while her family was still asleep and alive. Her parents woke up and confronted Jeremy downstairs when they noticed him in the home, and she went upstairs to comfort Jacob while they screamed at each other. At first, she claimed that Jacob went upstairs. Oh, sorry. At first, she claimed that Jeremy went upstairs and stabbed Jacob to death, but then she changed her story and said that she tried to strangle her little brother herself because she didn't want him to suffer.
Yeah, 'cause strangling is not suffering.
Yeah.
Fuck
Um,
you.
but she
You're an
said
idiot.
while she was strangling him, Jeremy came upstairs and pressured her into stabbing him. She said she stabbed him in the chest once, but he was moving around and she felt like she couldn't do it, so Jeremy came over and killed Jacob himself. She said Jacob's murder was out of pity because he would not be able to live without his parents. With this information, the Medicine Hat police investigator passed her a notepad and a Sharpie and asked her to write a letter apologizing to her family, hoping to get more information. So she grabbed the marker and the notepad and wrote, "Dear my lovely parental units, I'm writing in response to the events of Sunday morning. A terrible thing happened. Something I feel is my fault. I pray you can forgive me and Jeremy because he was under the influence of mind altering substance and did it out of love for me. I am sorry my sarcasm was taken to heart. I never meant to harm you. I pray you can be at peace somehow."
Fuck you.
Dear my lovely parental units, like, excuse me.
Fuck
That is like
you.
the brattiest way to like, ugh, whatever.
Lock her up.
I
Throw away the
cannot.
key.
They offered for her to keep the notepad and Sharpie and said that they could write to Jeremy or she could write to Jeremy and they would deliver the notes to him personally. So she wrote him a letter telling Jeremy to stay strong and she loved him.
Gross.
Next, the interrogators went into the room with Jeremy and used what Jane had disclosed to try to get a statement and confession from him. It didn't take much convincing for him to crack. He was highly emotional, banging his head on the table and sobbing uncontrollably. He quickly admitted to killing the parents and then downstairs, then went upstairs and claimed to watch Jane slit her own little brother's throat. He claimed he was afraid of Jane, saying she was showing no remorse or emotion when speaking about the murders and had actually pressured him into it, saying that she was starting to break up with him if he didn't help her. Which, like, okay, you're 23. You cannot be afraid of a 12-year-old girl.
No.
And also, okay, so she threatened to break up with you. How does that equate to I'm going to kill her whole family?
Huh? What?
The officers also offered Jeremy a notepad and Sharpie and told him he could write a letter to Jane. So he wrote, "I'm so very sorry I broke. I confessed. I love you. I truly do." In the meantime, the police continued to interview anyone who may have information, including friends, neighbors, and members of their goth community. The police knew that Jasmine often spoke about hating her parents and wishing they were dead, but wondered if one of her close friends had more details. Um, and one of her close friends, oh gosh, did indeed have more information and later testified that a week or two before the murders, she overheard Jane and Jeremy having a heated conversation on the phone where Jane stated she couldn't stand it anymore and they had to die. She begged Jeremy to help her kill her family. The police also interviewed a lifelong friend of Jeremy's who claimed that Jeremy asked him how far he would go for love and told him that his girlfriend was threatening to break up with him if he did not kill her family. Jeremy also had asked this friend for help with the murders. This friend thought Jeremy was just in a bad mood and did not take the conversation seriously. This is the same friend that gave Jeremy a copy of Natural Born Killers.
Of course. Fuck you, man.
He claimed it was trying to deter him from any thoughts of murder, but he didn't really anticipate it inspiring him. Casey, the same girl that drove them to Saskatchewan, claimed that while watching Natural Born Killers together, she noticed Jeremy getting excited at the violent scenes, especially when the murdering couple killed the father by holding his head underwater in a fish tank. In the movie, the female lead also had a younger brother who was left unharmed in the movie, and Jeremy stated that was where they went wrong, that they would do it differently, and that she was going to kill her little brother. Casey also showed the newspaper found in her car to Jeremy and Jane with the murders on the front page, and Jane apparently just giggled about it. She's like, my whole family's dead.
Yuck.
Meanwhile, Jeremy and Jane continued to exchange letters as the police hand delivered them after making photocopies of each one for evidence. In one of the letters, Jeremy even proposed to Jane. The letters did not say anything directly incriminating at any point, so they decided to try to get more information directly from Jeremy. They sent an undercover police officer to befriend Jeremy, posing as a fellow prisoner. And Jeremy asked the undercover officer what he was in for, and then bragged about being in prison for the triple homicide. The undercover officer pretended to be a fan, saying Jeremy was famous. Jeremy adamantly claimed that he would be getting off for sure from one of the charges of the murder for Jacob, insisting it was Jane who had killed him. He told the officer that Jane's dad attacked him with a screwdriver and he killed him in self-defense, so maybe he'd get off on that one too.
Probably not,
Probably
dickhead.
not. Jeremy slowly started to unravel and gave the full story of the gruesome night. He said he entered the home through the basement window while they were sleeping, that Jane left open for him. He said he stood in the basement a minute waiting for someone to find him. Eventually, Deborah got up to use the washroom and heard Jeremy creaking on the stairs. So she went to investigate, and that is when she found him. She screamed and called out for her husband, and Jeremy stabbed her, but Mark quickly followed behind and ran at him with a screwdriver, tackling Jeremy to the ground. He said Mark stabbed or grabbed his face and shoved his thumbs in his eyes. He attempted to stab Jeremy with a screwdriver, but it went into his hoodie, like by his shoulder neck area, and missed his body. Mark tried to stab him again in the chest, but Jeremy grabbed the screwdriver and stopped him. Jeremy started stabbing Mark in a frenzy fueled by cocaine, alcohol, and adrenaline. He said he blacked out, and when he came to, he was standing above Mark's dying body below him. Mark asked why, and all Jeremy said was, "You treat your daughter like shit. She wanted it this way." Like, that's not what he had to hear the last thing.
Fuck you, man.
Then he went upstairs and watched Jane cut Jacob's throat completely emotionless. Jane told Jeremy to go outside and wait for a few minutes, so he went out to get some fresh air, but instead of waiting, he panicked and took off running like the little bitch he was. Jeremy complained about the media coverage and how he was getting all of the blame when it was really Jane's idea and how she had pressured him into it. He claimed that Jane had more screws loose than him, that she would claw his back during sex and bite his neck and drink his blood. He also expressed anger about the reported age difference. He said, No, Jane's not 12. She's 13, almost 14. But you're still 23.
I think he should probably just kill himself.
And that's still a child.
That's fucked.
So, overall, the undercover operation was a success. Jeremy had confirmed that he knew he was having sex with a minor and confessed to the murders of Deborah and Mark. Despite his confession to sexual interference of a minor, the Crown never charged him with any sexual crimes because he was already charged with 3 counts of first degree murder.
May as well put it
Yeah.
on the fucking sheet.
So they decided it was best to focus on the charges to get him life sentences. On June 4th, 2007, Jane entered the Medicine Hat Court of Queen's Bench Courthouse and pled not guilty to
Of
all 3
course.
charges of first degree murder. The judge ruled her statement and letter from the police station at the time of the arrest were inadmissible in court because the police had gone against her charter rights and used deplorable and unethical tactics to force a confession from a 12-year-old girl, which fair.
Yeah.
Um,
Cops were being weird.
yeah, I feel like they were just trying. I mean, it's so easy to manipulate 12-year-olds,
Yeah.
especially if you're in the position of power. Like, so yeah, I mean, they did not do a great job at that. 90 witnesses ended up being called to trial, including Jeremy and many of their mutual friends and some of her other friends. All of her friends testified that she often spoke about wanting to kill her family. The pathologist that performed the autopsy took nearly 45 minutes just to explain the injuries that only Mark had inflicted upon him. James, the friend from the party afterwards, testified that Jane bragged about Jacob gurgling as he died. Jane also testified on her own behalf and said she couldn't believe that anyone would take her seriously. She was obviously just joking around.
Clearly not.
Obviously. She testified that she was scared of Jeremy and did not think that he would take her seriously. When he
Wow.
did, she was too afraid to stand up to him.
Really turned on him.
Mhm.
Pussy.
But the Crown was like, no, no, no. Why didn't you check on your family to see if they were alive?
Yeah.
When Jeremy fled and left her alone, why didn't you just call for help? When they were at the party later, why didn't you ask for help then?
Yeah.
They basically were like, you had plenty of opportunity to seek help if you were actually afraid. They also asked her why her and Jeremy had sex immediately after she was so afraid of him.
Yeah.
And she was like, well, I just wanted to make him feel better. And he wanted to make me feel better.
That's wrong.
So the Crown ultimately was successful in making a point that she did not try to stop the attacks and she never tried to help them afterwards. After 4 hours of deliberation, the jury came back convicting Jane guilty of all 3 counts of first degree murder. And on November 8th, she was sentenced. But the court was limited on what they could do because she was under 14. The judge said the circumstances surrounding these murders are horrific. It's difficult to imagine or conceive of a more horrific crime than this. The planned and deliberate murder of her parents and only sibling by a 12-and-a-half-year-old person. But the judge didn't want her to just spend time in prison. She was young, and he wanted her to be rehabilitated. So he applied for her to serve through the Intensive Rehabilitation Custody Support, aka the IRCS. This is a program for young offenders who have a diagnosed mental illness. She was diagnosed with several mental illnesses, including dependency, anxiety, depression, PTSD, oppositional defiance disorder, and conduct disorder. So the request was approved, and she was sentenced to 4 years in custody at the Alberta Hospital, which is a psych hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Then she had to do 4.5 years of community support, and they took her 18 months already served into account. So she ultimately did receive the maximum sentence of 10 years, just in a different way. She had to meet with the same judge every 6 months to review, and she actually surprisingly did very well. The judge said she was the poster child for the IRCS program. She successfully completed her program at the psych hospital and then enrolled in college courses, maintaining straight A's. The judge said that she showed genuine remorse for the crimes committed against her family. By 2013, she was living with a roommate and had a steady job and was studying in college. And by 2015, she was living independently and was in university full time. Her probation officer said she was at the lowest on the scale for reoffending and was not a danger to the public. And the judge said that she showed maturity and insight beyond her years. Her record was ultimately completely expunged. However, she did need to submit DNA samples and does have a lifetime ban on owning firearms. She did also change her name once she was released for her protection.
Okay.
So, like, good ending for her.
I don't think she deserves it.
No,
I mean, shoot.
but you're 12.
Yeah, but that's a pretty big fuck up to make as a kid.
She's 12 and she had a lot of undiagnosed mental illness.
Oh, man.
Jeremy's trial started on November 14th, 2008. The Crown submitted his taped confession from the undercover police officer, which was very effective. He took the stand on December 2nd in his own defense and did admit to killing Mark and Deborah, but said he was off his rocker, super high. He said he was just there to pick up Jane when he was confronted by Mark with a screwdriver. He never intended to kill anyone. It was just a complete coincidence that
Yeah, I
Jane had.
stabbed him 24 times, but I didn't mean to
Yeah.
kill him.
And it was a coincidence that Jane, had also killed Jacob at the same time. It wasn't planned,
Fuck
it was just
off.
a coincidence. He denied asking friends for help and said he was not concerned about the age difference between him and Jane, but continued to claim he thought she was 16 now. 16, not 13, almost 14, not 12.
Scum.
The defense claimed he was immature and infatuated and did not know the gravity of his crimes, and he would do anything for Jane. So he didn't even like consider the consequences. He just would do anything for her. He was now taking meds for his schizophrenia and depression. And after a day of deliberations, the jury came back with a guilty verdict for all three counts of first degree murder. And he was sentenced to life without the possibility of parole for 25 years. He showed no reaction when his sentence was delivered, and 3 years later, he submitted an appeal. He said it took several years because he could not find a lawyer to represent him. He later dropped the appeal, and he'll be eligible for parole in 2031 when he is in his late 40s.
Yuck.
I want to end the episode with how the family is remembered because, like, they just seemed like a super cool family.
Yeah, they really did. Motorcycle rides.
Yeah, like Mark and Deborah both suffered from like drug abuse before meeting each other or
Yeah.
alcoholism or whatever. And it just seems like they found each other and fell in love and turned their lives around and were finally living their
Yeah.
dream life. Mark's father described his son as a very easygoing guy with lots of friends and very loved. He said Mark and Deborah were both super athletic and completely in love. He was a devoted father, a steady provider who always made time for his family, going camping and swimming. He was quiet and humble and always let Deborah have the spotlight. He was so proud to be her husband, and his eyes gleamed with pride for her. Deborah was described as someone who met life's challenges with grace and optimism, and a deeply devoted mother and wife who stood proudly by her husband's side. Jacob was a beautiful, joyful, energetic young soul with a heart of gold, known for his big hugs and politeness. He loved Star Wars and hockey and would cheer for both teams playing because he just loved the game. He didn't even care who won or who was playing.
Oh, man.
So cute. At the time of their death, they had been married for 15 years. Their funeral was a packed house with over 250 people attending to grieve the loss of three precious lives. And that's the story of the Richardson family murders, and I can't wait to never hear about it ever again.
That was awful.
Oh, it's so awful. There's just like so much, so much sadness. Like, Jeremy was the only person I really don't feel bad for, but he also had like such a terrible childhood.
Yeah. I mean, feel bad for the kid, right? But
Yeah.
fuck that guy.
But he also obviously had undiagnosed mental illness like
Oh,
schizophrenia and depression. That's pretty
probably.
intense. He was already on medication for ADHD, and like Jane obviously had a lot of undiagnosed mental illness,
Yeah.
um, and they're just two very unstable people that somehow found each other. But
Yikes.
it's just very sad because they were just parents trying to keep their kids safe, you
Yeah.
know? But yeah, very sad story. Definitely gonna do something lighter now.
Yeah. We need a light one
We need
after that.
something spooky.
Thank you for your input, Wybie.
He licked your mic probably because it smells like spaghetti.
Yeah, probably.
Thank you for your feedback, YB. Is he purring right now? Binksy purrs so loud. Rebecca slept over the other night, and she was like, "It sounds like you have a vibrator on low in your bed." I was like, "What?" Because
Wow.
Binksy is just so loud when he purrs.
Wybie sounds like a car.
It's like one of my new favorite noises, though, because
Oh,
it's like white noise.
yeah.
It's actually so sweet, and I'm
It's
like,
pretty
"Oh, he's
awesome.
so happy."
It's
I don't
pretty
know.
nice.
That's a
But
good way to end a sad episode is with
yeah,
kitty
love
purrs.
your cats.
Love cats.
Stay spooky, True Northers.
Terror is closer than you think.
That sucked. That sucked so hard.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of True North Terror. If you like our podcast, please help us grow by leaving a rating and review. If you have a story you want us to hear, or your own personal story you want to hear on the pod as a listener story, email us at truenorthterrorpod@gmail.com. Join us next week for another episode of True North Terror.